Welcome to the Scorebook Live California football preview show. Connor Morrissette, Lance Smith. We're going to talk about the best city section football game of the week and the 5 best southern section football games as we do every week. We're here at Bishop Alemany. They play Amat. I spoke with Miller Moss, their star quarterback, a little bit earlier, and we'll have that interview at the end of this video. So, Lance, how you doing? Another week of football coming up.
Yep, I'm excited for league play. It's about to start.
Yep.
When I was looking through some of the schedules, one of the things I noticed is how many games, some of the ones we'll be talking about, it's like week 1, if a team wins or loses, that could take a league play contender out of contention to win league. So that's really interesting, going to make this week more exciting.
Yeah, definitely. League play, rivalries, just it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll start in the city section where the top team plays the second or third best team, depending where you look. So Narbonne, the top team, obviously, they're playing on the road against San Pedro. And usually a number 2 against number 1 is a great game. Of course, you expect Narbonne to do what Narbonne does against city section opponents, which is play really well and win. We know all the great Narbonne players. Jake Garcia, the quarterback, just committed to USC. For San Pedro, Josh Ward is the linebacker and running back who Narbonne will have to stop. But I was at this fixture I sound like a soccer guy. I was at this game a couple years ago, and it was a similar kind of position, and Narbonne came out and really played well. San Pedro's a great team, but they're not quite on Narbonne's level.
Yeah, San Pedro, they're off to a great start. 5-0, mostly blowouts, and a couple of them really bad. They beat Taft 77-7. They also beat Bell and Cleveland pretty bad. Offensively, they kind of do it by committee. Great defense too, but even if they're the next best team or second to next best team in the city section, the way Narbonne's been playing since their loss to Lone Peak, San Pedro will be lucky to make it remotely close.
Coming up on Thursday in the southern section, Newbury Park against St. Bonaventure. It's the battle of the Division I quarterbacks. Yes. Newbury Park quarterback Ben Branson is committed to Oregon State. St. Bonaventure quarterback Gavin Bierup is committed to Wyoming. St. Bonaventure has had a much better start, or not a much better start, but a better start to the year than Newbury Park. Newbury Park lost last week, surprisingly. I know Golden Valley's undefeated, but that was a surprising 55-27 loss.
Yeah.
And I think just overall, St. Bonaventure has a little bit more. Tony Henney is a great coach for them, and Gavin Bierup, a great quarterback. They have a few other studs as well. I anticipate St. Bonaventure to win that game. But Newbury Park, their offense is explosive. Branson had a career day against Venice a few weeks ago, so he's great. But just in terms of team matchups, I like the Bonnies.
Yeah, the Bonnies, their defense is probably what's going to be the difference in this game. There's a few more threats for Newbury between Hutton, Middleton, and Tyson Lundring. That's 1,350 receiving yards. That's a little bit more firepower than Bierup has to work with.
Yep.
But I just think the difference in defense is going to make that difference. And if I had to pick, I'd go with the Bonnies for sure.
How fast can these Servite sophomores grow up? They've already grown up pretty much right before our eyes, but now you're going up against St. John Bosco. Now it's a little bit different. It's not Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a great team, but we all know when you play Mater Dei or you play St. John Bosco, it's just a little bit different. Last year, Jay Serra gave St. John Bosco a great game. Could Servite do it this year at home? It's a possibility. But Troy Thomas's team, I think they're just a little bit too young. And for Bosco, it will probably be business as usual. But this will be a fun game, and there's a chance you'll be there, Lance. So we'll see how that one unfolds. But I like Bosco by a few scores just because I don't think the Servite rebuild is quite at the Bosco level quite yet, but it's on the way up, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I decided I will be there. So
okay, great.
We will have coverage of that. Looking forward to it. Like you said, it's one thing if Tetairoa McMillan, sorry if I said his name wrong.
T-Mac, what a receiver.
T-Mac, the receiver, and Noah Fafita, outstanding quarterback.
Yep.
It's one thing to try to pull off an upset if those guys have a little bit more experience. Servite has such a good defense. They're good at slowing the pace against great teams. Outside of Bishop Gorman, they struggled. You know, Servite's the kind of team where you sleep on them, you give up a pick 6 or a fumble recovered for a touchdown, suddenly that could turn a game that shouldn't be a game into a game. But also, Bosco is coming off that, I think, 42-10 victory over Hawaii powerhouse Mililani. That was probably their best game of the entire season. So now more than ever, Bosco looks good to roll them.
Yeah, and Bosco is probably a little bit better than Bishop Gorman, who Servite had some trouble with.
Absolutely.
But when it's a league foe, you never know. These teams know each other really well, so we'll see. In Long Beach, game of the year contender. Long Beach Poly going on the road to Wilson. It was at Cerritos College, then it wasn't at Cerritos College. It's back at Wilson. They're going to sell that place out. I talked to some of my secret underground sources, Lance, and I was wondering, does Wilson have a chance? And my secret underground source told me 15 times out of 100 if these teams played, Wilson would win, but he expects Pauley to win, probably gives them an 85% chance to win. If they can run the ball, they'll have some success. But we saw them get really mollywopped against Punahou, a great Hawaiian team in the first game of the year. They've had a up and down, more down than up kind of season. Wilson's undefeated. Ryan Petway's their great quarterback.
Yes.
They're inducting a couple players into their Hall of Fame at halftime. Wilson is, so they're going to be up for this game. It's going to be a great contest, great for Long Beach football. But if Pauley does what they're capable of doing, even though they're young and inexperienced, they should win.
Yeah, I think with Wilson, no one expected them to be this good. I mean, I saw some people and some sites ranking them outside the top 4,000 in the country.
Wow.
And now some of them have them in the top 1,000. This game probably will be what determines who wins league.
Yeah, definitely.
Because the way the way Wilson's been playing, it's hard to imagine anyone else in that league beating them. And Long Beach Poly, they're always the favorites. Ashun Brown, if I'm saying that right, has been outstanding at wide receiver for Long Beach Poly. And then for Wilson, we know Ryan Petway, but their running back tandem of Dylan Harris and Peter Seo has also been huge for them. But the size of Long Beach Poly and just how much they're used to playing top-tier teams, I think 85% is a pretty good estimate. They're the favorites, but this should be close. And if they slip up a couple times, boom, they might be done contending for league. So thrilling game.
Finally, before we get to the interview with Miller Moss and talking about that Alemany Amat game, Tesoro against San Clemente. Tesoro 6-0, San Clemente 5-1. Nick Billups really blew me away, the San Clemente quarterback and defensive back in their loss to Corona Del Mar. He threw for a couple scores, really kept them in the game, and also had an interception on defense, so Tesoro will key on him. For Tesoro, Sean Lindgren, the quarterback, Justin Schaefer, those are the players to know on offense. And the defense for them has only allowed 3 points their last 2 games, so the defense has really come to play. I think that's going to be a great game. 2 teams who are right on the inside of our top 25, right on the edge. Tesoro's 25, San Clemente 23. Should be a great game.
Yeah, this is another game that could decide who wins or falls out of contention for winning league in week 1. Obviously, when you're looking at this league, you have Tesoro, you have San Clemente, and then you have Mission Viejo. Both of these teams are going to face Mission Viejo in the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
And it's hard to imagine Mission Viejo losing a game to anybody in this league. These are the 2 teams who have a chance, but you can count on Mission Viejo winning out league other than this. So whoever wins this game pretty much has no chance. Zach Ran has also been outstanding at running back for Tesoro. Their defenses look great. They've only allowed something like 40 or 50 points all season. And they're also a dark horse contender to win Division III, even though, they'd have to go through a lot of quote-unquote better teams to get there. So this is going to be one of the better public school Orange County matchups of the entire year, and should be exciting.
Yeah, remember, San Clemente did beat Mission Viejo last year, so not impossible, but I agree with you. Mission Viejo, heavy favorites. And yeah, Tesoro, they're a great team in Division III. They'd most likely have to go through Alemany, who that's where we're at, or Grace Brethren, or Corona Del Mar, so we'll see how that goes. But man, league play is beginning. We're right in the middle of football season. It's going to be a blast.
Yes, and I heard from a little bird at Mission Viejo that they are rooting for San Clemente because they want to be the team that knocks out San Clemente. They don't want Tesoro to get their business done for them. They want San Clemente to come into that game. I think it's the second to last week of league. They want San Clemente to come into that league with a chance so that Mission Viejo can be who takes the wind out of their sails in dramatic fashion.
A little bit earlier, I caught up with Alemany quarterback Miller Moss. We'll roll that in a second. He's Lance Smith. I'm Connor Morrissette. Thanks for watching. Here at Bishop Alemany with starting quarterback Miller Moss. Miller, you've had 2 weeks to prepare for Mission League play. Bishop Amat comes to town this Friday. Huge game. You guys are one of the favorites. They're one of the favorites. They, of course, won the league last year. Just how excited are you for this big game?
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited. It's going to be a huge game, huge turnout, hopefully. And just the way the game ended last year left a little bit of a hard feelings with us. So we're definitely all excited, fired up for this game.
On paper, on the schedule, Oaks Christian looked like it was going to be a tough game for you guys. You really dominated that one. This is more of a tougher contest on paper. Right. Who are some of the players, or just what does Bishop Amat do that you're going to be weary of?
Right. I think the biggest thing with them is just they're coached so well. They normally don't have those big name guys. That's not a knock on them at all. But they're just so disciplined in everything they do. And when you come up against a team like that, you really have to execute. So that's our main concern just with them.
You're the quarterback, but the guy to stop on that team is Damian Moore, the running back. Sure. Defensively, how are you going to talk up the guys? How are you going to let them know that? They know they got to stop, but how are you going to pump them up to make sure that they get the job done?
Right. I have a tremendous amount of confidence in our defense. I know Junior's leading that defense well. So, Damian's a hell of a player. I'm super fired up about him. was with him at Cal last weekend, so I got a little talking with him. But I'm super confident in our defense, and I'm sure they'll do a good job.
So you brought up Cal. You were on a visit to Cal last week. Damien was there too, it sounds like, as you said. How much fun was that visit? And, I mean, that's a Pac-12 school. They're one of your top schools. Just what was it like to be up there?
No, it was great. I mean, I have great relationships with the whole staff. I think they've been really upfront with me just throughout the whole process. So just getting to cultivate those relationships and continue to build on them was great.
Looking at the Mission League, you guys are loaded. Amat is having a great start to the season. Notre Dame is really talented. Sarah looks really good. There's a lot of great teams at the top of this league. Week in and week out, it's always going to be a challenge. What do you think it's going to take for the winning team to win the league this year? It's going to be so tough.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Mission League is always one of the best leagues in California, and we know that going into each and every game. But I think we 100% have what it takes, and we have the skill, and we have the determination, and just kind of what we went through last year really prepared us to go through this stretch in league and hopefully come out on top.
Last thing for you. You're a guy who most high school football fans know. Kevin Green is a guy on the Alemany offense who most high school football fans in this area know. Who are some guys who are coming along for Alemany that have really played well so far this year, guys who are going to be up next?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think my entire receiving corps, so just to add Deontay Caldwell, Jay-Sean Todd, and DJ Justice for sure. And then my two backs, Demario Strong and Floyd Chalk, have all been just balling all year. I think it makes our offense really diverse just that we can run the ball and throw the ball. I don't want to say it will, but we can
You've
do
had success.
Right. We can do what we want to do. So I think huge shout out to just my entire offense and especially the offensive line because everything starts with them.
That's Miller Moss. They welcome Bishop Amat on Friday in a massive Mission League game. Miller, thanks so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you.